How are you finding lockdown at the moment?
I'm finding it bearable. I'm finding it a bit like a new way to look at things.
Not very good. I mean, if it wasn't for the allotment, where I can come up and do a bit of work and get a bit of air, I think I'll probably be climbing the walls by now.
Weirdly, because of the nature of my job, it hasn't changed that dramatically. I work at home, I'm a writer, you're in your head.
I'm very, very glad and feel extremely lucky that I've got an allotment and that it's on a site of this size, which means you can get a bit of a walk in as well.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I'm kind of enjoying it, if I'm honest, because there's no traffic, it's quiet, there's no planes. In a way I kind of miss it, if I'm honest, when it's finally over, because it's just been so peaceful. So I'm actually one of the few people that are actually enjoying it, if I'm honest.
Well, we're lucky that we've got a garden at home and an allotment here, and we're worried about people who don't have that sort of thing. We're coping pretty well, I think.
Since, as we said before, about being social animals, we need to be out and about and speaking to people and interacting with other people. And when you can't do that, it's extremely difficult.
How do you feel with social distancing?
I'm getting used to it. I feel I look after the rents and the tenants here at these allotments, and I'm therefore I'm in a sort of regulatory role. Sometimes I think I'm in a sort of regulatory role on distancing as well. I put my hand out and say, thus far and no further. Or, go around ringing my bell.
I go jogging every other day, and if I see someone coming, I'll either stop or get out of their way, or they'll get out of my way. So that's been working, and I think it's working the vice versa with other people. They're doing the same. So that's not had any issues with the social distancing.
Well,
it's necessary.
Yeah, it's important to do it. I think if everybody understands the purpose of it, it's not that antisocial, really.
Even when I go down the supermarkets and stuff. But there's still some people out there that don't really seem to get it. But I mean, but they're getting fewer and fewer now, and more people are starting to realise, they've got to keep their distance from people.
So periodically I go out to the supermarket and I get very, very stressed, because everybody's in your space, and it's like looking. I've read a lot of science fiction in my time, and it is like being in one of those dystopian post-apocalyptic novels. It's a bit Day of the Triffids, and people now with their masks on and their gloves on, and while there's some good humour amongst the neighbours, you're seeing a very positive spirit compared to what we might have imagined in all these zombie apocalyptic fantasies. There's also a tension I don't see in the supermarkets. There's no eye contact, especially if people got masks on. You can't read them quite well. I had a little aggressive moment the other day where somebody really got aggressive with me, and it was weird. I'm kind of like, don't get any closer. Just wondering about, is this masked person going to invade my space, as they ranted and shouted, and obviously they were stressed out about something.
I'm coming here more than I used to, but not for as long, I think, actually. I'm coming for just a few hours each day, and when I'm at home I'm trying to keep things in order, because I think they get very quickly out of control when there's more people in the house all day. It's quite a lot of things have changed.
It's affected me in a couple of ways. I like travelling, and obviously that's out of the window. I had a holiday booked literally tomorrow, Good Friday, so that's been cancelled. And the other negative thing is my kids, both of them had exams. My daughter was doing her GCSEs, and my son was doing his A-levels, and particularly for my son, he worked quite hard for that.
And how's lockdown affected you in your daily life?
Oh God, a lot. Because I'm spending so much time indoors now rather than out. Well, you know, where before I used to spend most of my time outside, not inside. And so now that's completely changed. It's it does get a little bit depressing after a while. So that's why I'm so glad I've got the allotment, because without this allotment, I think, you know, within a week, I think I'll be probably, you know, in a rubber room somewhere, you know, being fed through a hole in the door.
Can't see anybody.
Yeah, our grandkids and stuff, we only see them on Skype, you know. We've set up a weekly competition for everybody. This week we're all writing creative writing, and then last week it was cakes, and so that's how we try to cope with it, to see them.
So in some ways not affecting me that dramatically. There's something that's pleasant, weirdly, about this kind of quieter moment.
What are your feelings of what it'll be like after lockdown?
Initially heaven, because, you know, we'll be able to get back to a little bit of normality, but what that normality will be, I've got no idea, because this seems to be changing everything now. So I think a lot of it is going to depend on, you know, on whether they can actually find some sort of vaccine or something for this. You know, if they can do that, then I think it will probably be go back to fairly much like normal.
Life after the lockdown, well, I think it depends how long it goes on for. I'm sure it's going to go on for a lot longer than we originally thought it was going to go on for, so I think that'll probably be quite tricky to just go back to normal. I think it'll be really weird, and it'll kind of feel uncomfortable, because already in social situations, I mean, everything I do, my work is social, so I'm always very aware of that aspect of life. And I think now that we've had all these kind of restrictions put on us for very good reasons, I think it's going to be quite awkward to sort of go back and just, you know, kind of think everything's gone back to normal, because it won't feel like it's normal. So I think there'll definitely be some weird transition or adjustment time.
Oh, I like to think all sorts of good things will come out of it, but probably after the financial disasters 10 years ago or so, it'll probably just go back to normal, you know, predatory capitalism and all the rest of it.
How do you feel life will be like after lockdown?
We wonder.
We're hoping that there'll be a major shift in political attitudes and socioeconomic thing. People will realize that, you know, NHS maybe ought to pay the nurses and not run down public, you know, social care for elders, so all that stuff. We're hoping that people will get the message finally.
With my business, like kind of transferring it online, and even though you're meeting new challenges with that, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of fun and interesting, and challenges are always really good for us, I feel.
Fantastic air quality, lack of traffic. You know, if you do go for a bike ride, it's, you know, the streets are much quieter, although there are some Egypts out there who take an empty street as an excuse to go fast. Yeah, people, there is a sense of a certain amount of doing things together, although, yeah, I don't know, going into a supermarket and everybody's silent is weird. It's very weird.
The environment's much cleaner, the air, there's less pollution, so in terms of the air, the quality of the air is improved.
What positives have you seen with the lockdown and this situation?
That very thing is that people are reflecting on what's important, and that's why we hope that it will inspire some changes.
Yes, yes.
The hardest thing about it is how we all come out of this. It could be, in an ideal sense of it. You know, it could be very positive, because you know we need to do something about the climate, and we kind of see that we can. That collective action can happen. We've been forced into a more socialist agenda that this government would never have gone into, but that the whole world might have to adopt. So things like universal wage are being talked about, and you know, we can see that we can do without flying and so much flying and so on. So there's possibilities for positive outcomes, but you know, there's just as many possibilities for really negative outcomes, and we have no idea. And it has slightly, you know, I'm cheerful enough about it during the day, but it's slightly invaded my subconscious, and I find myself having dystopian COVID dreams, which leave me waking up in a state of anxiety. So I hope we can bounce it into a hopeful moment for the planet. It's up to us to do that, I guess.
Keep your distance. Stop being muppets.